Hello, everyone, and welcome to Healthy Cooking with Shayda. This is where I teach you how to make whole food plant-based meals that are salt, oil, and sugar-free. And I'm really excited about tonight's conversation because, once again, we have our famous guy, John Pierre, with us tonight, and we're going to talk to him about how to navigate through the holidays, as the holiday season is really approaching. Like Halloween is in less than a week, and we all need like strategies and how to get through that. But before we get started, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please consider doing so. And if you like what you're seeing, please make sure to give us a thumbs up. We would really appreciate it. So let's jump right into it without any further ado. John Pierre, welcome to our show. JP?
Thanks for having me, and thanks for doing this great show.
Okay, you were cutting out. We couldn't hear you there for a minute.
Okay, I hear you guys crystal clear.
Okay, it's just you coming in. Okay, well, JP, with the holidays coming up, and the holiday season is definitely upon us. That being said, it can be a very stressful time of the year for a lot of people. So why do you think the holidays or the holiday season is so stressful for people?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, obviously, of course, the environmental control issue is that everywhere you go, I mean, every office is going to have candy right now for Halloween, every store and decorations everywhere. Kids are going to be coming here. So it puts a little pressure on people to buy candy, and then they have candy in their house. And you know the famous saying the Chef AJ always says, if it's in your house, it's in your mouth, which is true. So, I mean, it's right there. That's an issue. But the other issue is that it gives people, and I'm not saying everyone, so don't write me letters. It gives people excuses to go off the program. They basically just get to say that this is, oh, it's the holidays. Everyone's supposed to be happy. We're supposed to celebrate. We go hard all year, and now it's the holidays. So it gives them an out. And it's almost like like Dr. McDougall says, people get to hear good news about their bad habits. And then people say that the inevitable thing, I'll start on January 1st, my program, which is crazy because you've set yourself up for October, November, December, and into January for failure. And you've already built all this momentum to crave sweets and sugars, anything sugary, fatty, oil, salt. So do you think when January 1st comes around, it's the mystical, magical time that all that ends? No. You practice being an addict, and now you're going to be really good at it. And so now you're just going to set yourself up for failure. My clients, I have them start October 1st, start training for January 1st. So I give them months and months of pre-training before the new year starts. When January 1st rolls around and all their friends are talking about setting New Year's resolutions, theirs already started theirs in October.
I completely agree with you. And I forgot to mention earlier that I want this to be interactive. So I want you guys out there to ask questions, either of me or of John Pierre. So please make sure that when you're asking questions, go ahead and type 3 question marks at the beginning, ask your question, end it with 3 question marks, because Erin's going to be monitoring the chat so that she can write all your questions down and we can go ahead and answer that. So we know that the average person typically gains weight during the holidays. Do you by any chance know what that is? And I guess we kind of know why, right? You just covered it.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to gain 5 to 10 pounds of body fat during the holidays, with all the stuffing and candy and ice cream and brownies and all the goodies people have. But really, when people talk about the so-called fat gain, or they call it weight gain, but it's not really weight, it's fat. When they talk about that, that's, believe it or not my biggest concern. It's the damage they've caused to their emotional being, because they set themselves up for disaster. As I said earlier, nothing mystical and magical is going to happen January 1st. That's going to be able to stop you from your food addiction that you've been training since October, November, and all of December. It's silly. I mean, these are the most dangerous times of year for people in terms of their health, because they have less movement. They're not exercising like they used to. There's lots more parties. There's lots more temptations. It's like the poster child for disaster in the holidays.
And I agree with you, because everywhere you go, there's candy and chocolates and this. You go to the supermarket and it's everywhere. It's at the cash register. It's on every aisles. You go to, I don't know, you go to the shopping center, you go to like Macy's, or you go to Kohl's, and there's just food everywhere. And it's just pounding constantly on your head. Who's most at risk at gaining weight during this time? Is there a specific person?
Well, I mean, anybody who eats a standard American diet is most at risk, because when they're just, at best case scenario, they go back to their best diet, which is standard American diet, which is horrible. And also people that don't move as much, that aren't on a regular movement or exercise program, they're going to be at risk. Some people, obviously, they take the holidays and they go a little easier, but they already have membership to health clubs, or they already do activity, and they'll get back into it. So I don't know, to me, it's everybody's at risk, mainly emotionally. It's the emotional damage that's going to cause. Yeah, it's physical damage, I agree. And nothing's could be worse for you than gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight. You don't want to do that. You want to stay steady. And that is impossible during the holidays for most people. I have very, very few people that I've worked with, very few, that are able to maintain, compliance on the holiday season. The ones that do are the ones that are more elite athletes or military type that are already on some sort of strict regimen. So very few people. There are people, and don't write me letters and complaining and saying, I'm saying this is everyone. I'm not saying it's everyone. I'm saying, but very few people don't have excuses during the holiday. They let all the excuses run wild, and they use them. They use their get out of jail cards every month until January starts, why they should be able to eat their foods.
And I think it starts with, unfortunately, they think that, okay, I'm just going to have one fun size M&M bag or one fun size Snickers, and that's not going to do anything to me. Where in fact, I think it does a lot of harm to them. And from there, it's a slippery slope. That's what I think. And I also think
your body doesn't want one small size candy. It wants them continually because it wants you to gain fat, because fat to the primal brain means survival. It doesn't know that you're 40 pounds overweight. It doesn't know that you already have a food pantry full of food. You got a store a block away. It doesn't know that. The primal brain doesn't know that. So when you think you're going to eat one potato chip, it's kind of silly, because your brain, once it tastes one, it says, oh, there's access to this food. Well, I'm going to turn on the hormones that are going to make you crave that food even more. So that's just people wanting to create an excuse. I'm going to have one. I've never met really many people that can do that. There's some, but there's not many.
I've never met anyone that can do that, because that's certainly not me. And I also think it's not just the people that eat a standard American diet that are really more prone to getting overweight. I think a lot of vegans, because there's a lot of vegan junk food out there, and just because it's vegan, that doesn't mean that it's healthy for us. And I think that's the time that they're like, well, I can have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I think that's really detrimental with all the vegan junk foods that are out there. That's setting yourself up for failure.
Well, as I said last time, Shayda, if somebody gave you a massage for 30 seconds, most people would like a massage for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, because it's pleasurable and relaxing. So all the vegan junk food and all the other food is pleasurable, and it's changing your brain chemistry. So it's kind of silly to think that you're not going to crave it more. It's absolutely crazy.
No, I agree with it. And we've been talking a lot about this. Well, I think we should talk about some strategies that we can help people with. And some of these strategies you and I have talked about before on the show, but I think it's worth repeating so that, we hear it more and more. And I'm a firm believer of the more you hear it, the more it's going to sink in. And if you were about to go touch something that wasn't good for you, you're going to be, wait. They talked about this. No, I can do this, and that. To me, and I'm sure you're going to agree with this, one of the most important things that we have to do, especially during the holiday, is to keep our environment as clean as possible. It really has to be spot on. Like, I don't think anyone should be bringing in Halloween candies. Even if you're going to say you're not going to eat it, you're just going to pass it out to the kids that come. Eventually, it's going to get in your mouth. I don't know too many people that can just say, okay, I'm just going to give it up. So you really have to think about, is there other things that you can give the kids? And I think there are. There's plenty of things that you can give the kids. You can go to even a dollar store and buy them, crayons, buy them coloring books, buy them things. One thing I found at Costco that I want to share with you guys, and if I don't get many trick-or-treaters, but last year we got some, and what I'm going to give them are these. And these are called That's It. And Costco is selling these. They're in a fun little size. And the only ingredient that's in here is apples and mango, apple and blueberry, apple and cherries. So if you're going to give them anything, give them something that's at least a little healthier. I'm sure they would much prefer a chocolate bar or to what I'm going to give them. But I'm sorry, this is what they're getting. And they're also getting, like I said, crayons and stuff that they can use. And I think that's better for them. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's beautiful. Actually, I've never seen those before, Shayda, so I'm glad you showed that. And dried fruit is always great. It's great to get kids into any type of fruit, but particularly dried fruit. Remember, since the water's removed, it'll make the fruit sweeter. So even if kids are used to eating sugar, they should like those. And that is a guilt-free way to give out, candy, if you want to call it, or snacks to kids. And it's nice to see the kids during Halloween. I think it's a fun thing. It's nice interacting, and it's fun for them to dress up. So we definitely don't want to ruin their fun, but we don't want to contribute to their demise either with all the candy and stuff. So that's a great idea. So good for you for finding that.
And also, if you what I noticed last time I was at Costco, they had small size, just like the size of this, but they're fruit roll-ups. And when I was reading the ingredient, all it was fruits in there. And they made it into a leather roll-up. And I thought I'll probably get a bag of that too, because I think it'll be fun to give them healthier treats. I'm not about to go and buy like Reese's peanut butter cups or Snickers or whatever the junk stuff that are out there, those big bags. And I think if I'm going to give them anything, it's going to have to be something much healthier. But I do believe you've got to really keep your environment as clean as possible. And I think it has to be cleaner now than the rest of the year. And you have to be, more on top of it, much more on top of your environment at this time of day, because your environment where you're living is the only thing that you can really, really control. Everything else that's outside of your house, you can't control it. But what's in your house, you can control it, and you need to tighten the screws. Remember, that's your saying. You've always said that during the holidays, you got to get tighter and you got to tighten the screws a lot more in order to be successful.
Well, the time that most people that are training with people and health clubs and things, it's obviously January, because everyone wants to start their program in January. And I want people to start, I want them to do it all year round, but I really want them to get laser beam focused starting October. So now is a great time, even though we're close to Halloween, to just kind of tighten the screws a little bit. And also remember, Shayda, with the holidays, one thing that people don't talk about, but I deal with a lot with my clients more from an emotional standpoint, is the holidays for many people are very sad times, because many people have lost loved ones. They don't get to celebrate with their loved ones. And it causes people get depressed. And so what do you do when you're depressed? You often get to medicate with food. So I don't see the holidays for rarely anyone as being a great time for being healthier and fitter. So I see it, the deck is being stacked against you. So you need to stack the deck in your favor. And so what you're saying, by bringing those healthy snacks in to give out, hey, it's going to be hard for you to overeat on dried fruit. And if you are, it's not nearly going to be as bad as if you're eating Snickers or Twinkies or whatever else people eat today.
Yeah, that I agree. Okay, so that's one strategy. And the other one, and we're going to talk about emotions that you touched on. We are definitely going to talk about that. But I also think it's really an important time of the year to manage your stress. And you got to figure out a way, if you're a really stressful person, or you've got a really stressful job, or, you really have to learn how to manage your stress, because by overeating, you're not going to be, that's not going to help. That's just going to be more harmful to you. And so I was thinking, like, how would I manage my stress, or how do I manage my stress? And I actually love, getting a massage, and I can't do a 1-minute massage. I want a 1-hour massage. So that to me is like the best thing to do. Going out for a walk, hanging out with my friends, listening to music, reading a good book, exercising, getting your nails done. You have to find a way to really release the stress. And I think everybody needs to do that. And I think it's important that everybody makes a list of, okay, what will help me in reducing my stress level? And then once you do get that stress, again, read it, look at your list and go do one of those things. Take your dog out for a walk, dance in your house, turn the music on super loud and just start dancing. You have to do something in order to manage your stress. What do you think? What are your thoughts about managing stress?
Yeah, well, one of the best ways to reduce stress is going to be through movement or exercise. So anything that you can do to get the body moving, because, the body is taking on these energies from outside and often storing them inside you, and your muscles and energy inside you gets tight, or what they say, if you look at Chinese medicine, there's congestion. So exercise, or big movements where you're doing squats and reaches, walking, running, rowing, swimming, anything where you're doing big movements, that's a great way to release stress. The other thing is, all of us can do this, and that's dancing and singing. So getting in some good music and then singing along to whatever you like, and doing a little dancing, your own style of dancing, get moving. But actually, one of the best things is vocalization. When you can vocalize, and some of my clients, I have them do chanting in the car when they're driving, because it's a way for them to reduce their stress from work all day. So when they get home, they don't tear the refrigerator off, the door off, because they're so hungry, they're calming down. And the other thing is to make sure that you use some essential oils, because essential oils can be very calming. I think you have some there. I use essential oils all the time. This one is a lavender, and this one is called Calm. This is another good one. And just breathing those in, one of the things you can do is just take a cotton ball and just put a couple drops of the essential oil on there, put it on the dash of your car. And when you're driving home, it's very relaxing because you're smelling that. Or when you get home, you can do it whenever you need to do it. But having those essential oils really help to relax you.
You sell, or you have it on your website. Can you tell us the brand of the essential? I think it's doTERRA, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't have them on my website, but there's lots of good brands. doTERRA has some good ones. Young Living has some good ones. Revive, Now Foods. Find what's in your budget, and just remember that any scent. I'm not saying I get artificial scents, but any scent that you're smelling is going to invoke something. So like if you smell, like when I was working in the retirement homes, if I would give a senior apple pie spice, they're 80 years old, they would take me back to when they were 10 and their grandma used to bake apple pies for them.
Oh, how sweet.
So scents really those memories are stored, and scents can activate that. And so scents are very, very powerful, essential oils in particular. So try to buy a good quality one, but lavender is always good. Bergamot is good, depending on what you're trying to invoke. But generally, lavender and bergamot are pretty relaxing. And then some companies make ones called Calm or Serenity, things like that are a blend of different oils, like ylang-ylang, and things like that. They're blended in there to help induce relaxation.
I think that's great. I have one of my favorite doTERRA scents that I have is, well, two, lavender and lemon. I really love the lemon. And I take the lemon with me when I go to the movie theaters, because I hate the smell of that popcorn. And everyone around me has popcorn, and there's nothing I can do about it. So I just open up, and I'm constantly just smelling the lavender, not the lavender, the lemon, and it just eases me, and I'm calm. So I totally agree with you about the essential oils. I think it's a great thing, and I also love that you said about singing and turning up the music in the car, because recently I was a little sad, and one of my favorite Aerosmith songs came on, and I just turned that up and I started screaming and singing along with it, and I'm like, oh, my mood just changed and it just shifted. So you are absolutely right about both of those.
What's interesting, Shayda, is you see, you're doing all the little things to be successful. A lot of people look at that and they hear, oh, that's just, what am I going to do with a $10 bottle of essential oil? How's that going to help me? It's the little things that stack the deck in your favor and help you to be successful. You've seen that from the day we started working together. All the little things that we did added up to success.
Right, and I've put everything that you've taught me in this toolbox, and I use it all the time. And it's not just one thing you've taught me an awful lot. So it's very true, because I am going to be, believe it or not, JP, it's January 12th. It will be 11 years that I have lost my weight and I have kept it off. So
wow, amazing.
And I've gone through highs and lows in my life, really stressful times. And I've, but thank God and I've gone through all these holidays and everything, and I was able to manage it. And the only reason I was able to manage it is because of all the little things you taught me to do and that I continually practice. You guys have to remember one thing: you can't do it just for 1 day, 2 days. This is going to have to become a complete habit for you. And I know one time Aaron and I went to the movie. And Aaron, what was the essential oil you had in your purse?
Calm.
So Aaron had Calm and I had lemon, and we're both just smelling those, and it saved us. It saved us.
Yeah.
So I have a quick question. Can I ask?
Yeah, go ahead, ask.
So JP, can you give some examples of the actual chants that you might have people do in their cars to reduce stress, and what is the process of chanting? How do you do it?
Well, it's just a vocalization of any. You could pick a vowel. You could say I think kind of or is a good one, and you're just taking a deep breath, and you're just basically, trying to extend that vocalization as long as you can. Some people go for 30 seconds. Some people go for 10. It doesn't matter, but it's just that vibration. One of the things you have is this vagus nerve, and it's on both sides. It starts at your neck and goes down and innervates all your intestines and everything throughout your body. It's also known as the wandering nerve. And by vocalization, and especially chanting, you really activate that and help induce relaxation and being a little bit less stressful. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. You're just taking in a breath and and you're just letting it go as long as you can, and then breathe normally for a little bit, and then take another breath in and do it again too. You can also just sing in the car. You can listen to, they have some good chanting on YouTube. That's where I've seen it on YouTube. Like monks chanting is a good one. And you'll hear the monks chanting, and they're doing basically the same thing, except they do it for hours at a time. I'm only recommending a couple minutes, then take a break, and then a couple minutes, and then take a break. Because it's very, it's if you don't have that lung power, you need to kind of rest your lungs a little bit, because you're using muscles you haven't used before.
JP, can you talk a little bit about breathing exercises? Because I think breathing exercises is another great way of reducing distress.
Yeah, there's a lot of breathing exercises I do with clients, box breathing and pranayama and different types. But I think one of the easiest ones is just anyone could just take in for 2 seconds and then exhale always double. So for 4. If you took in for 3 seconds, exhale for 6. It's that really slow exhale that really helps relax you. And for most of my clients, I ask them to breathe in through their nose and then they can breathe in, breathe out through their mouth. So 2 seconds in through their nose and 4 out, and 3 and 6 and whatever you want. You can keep doubling it. But the breathing is probably one of the most important things to induce relaxation. When you look at somebody who's an upper chest breather, we really frown on that because that's how you activate really your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight. When people are breathing like that kind of pranayama or breath of fire, it's an activating breath that stimulates you. When you're belly breathing or diaphragmic breathing and you're going through the nose and out through the mouth, it's more relaxing and grounding for you. So breathing is really good. And I talk about it, in my books, and my Zoom series covers a lot of this stuff too. But these are good questions because the breath control is one of the most important things for stress control. And that's why you see more and more military elite units really focusing on doing breath training.
Is it better to do the breath training standing up, sitting down, or lying down? And what I want people to know was when JP talks about belly breathing, your belly needs to come up, right, JP?
Yes, correct. And that's a good question. For beginners, it's easier if you're laying down and you put like a book or something light on your belly button, and then you can kind of watch your belly rise and then sink. So then you see some diaphragmatic breath. Some people like to sit in a lotus posture or sitting, and some like to stand. The most relaxing for most people is generally when you're lying down, eyes are closed, and if you had earplugs in, that'd even be better. And then start with your diaphragmatic breathing. That's the most relaxing, but it's not convenient for everybody. When we have my retreat in Chicago next Memorial Day, then we're going to focus a lot on all these different breathing exercises. And we focus on how to use the stimulating oils with a stimulating breath and the relaxing oils with a relaxing breath. And that's a lot of fun. And we create morning, evening rituals with that.
Okay, and then when you're lying down and you said to put the headphones on, is the room, can you have relaxation music playing in the background? Or do you think okay, so you're okay with that? Oh, you don't want,
it's it's not what I think is best, it's what works best for you. Because I have clients that like silence, I have clients that like white noise, some want the chanting, some want the river stream, the rain, the thunderstorm, whatever invokes relaxation to you. The reason why there's not a right or wrong is, let's say I have a client that likes thunderstorms and it's relaxing. Well, there might be a kid that was in a thunderstorm when they were a kid and got really scared. So when they hear thunderstorms, it evokes a sense of fight or flight. So there's no right or wrong. It's what works for you.
Yeah, I agree, because I love the sound of rain, and the sound of rain to me is very calming and very relaxing. And I often leave the door open so I could hear the sound of the rain. So I totally agree. And then if you're doing the breathing exercises, do you do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or is it really up to you as soon as you get relaxed? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good question. If you do it too long, you have to be careful because you're not used to it. It can be tiring, actually. So I'd say just, for the average person, maybe 15 to 20 breaths would be fine. 15 to 20, that should invoke some nice relaxation. And if you had your eyes closed and you had a nice sound or it's quiet, that even contributes more. If you use an essential oil, that contributes more. We'll also show you at the retreat, you can use some different mudras or different positions with your hands. You can do some self-massage. These are different things you can add. So you're kind of creating this moment of bliss to anchor yourself into relaxation. We can't really go into any of that stuff now just for time. But at the retreat in Chicago, we're going to go a lot more deep into the breathing. And it's one of the most important things. If you remember, Shayda, when you were there at my retreat, we did a whole PowerPoint presentation on breath, and people were shocked about all the statistics and things I showed with breathing. But I'm glad you asked that, because it's really one of the most important things to help reduce stress. And the cool thing about breathing is that you control it. Wherever you go, you have your breath. So you don't have to be anywhere special, and you don't need any mystical, magical gadgets. You can just control your breathing.
You know what? I remember the first time I did this. It was when I was at Optimum Health Institute in San Diego. And I remember I didn't know what this class was about, but everybody was going. It was a breathing class. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to go. And we were all on the floor. We had our feet up on top of a chair so we could watch our stomachs go up and down. And I remember we were doing this breathing exercise. And after a while, I don't even know why, but it invoked a lot of emotions in me that I was just crying. I just started crying. But I tell you what, afterwards, I was like, oh my God, this was really good. Like I felt lighter, I felt happier, I felt really great. But that breathing exercise, it woke something up. It did something.
It's a good point. Massage will do that, breathing will do it. You do have to be careful with some of the breathing systems out there that are really encouraging some hyperventilation breathing. And you have to be careful because it can cause some emotions to come out, and some people can cause panic because they feel like they're almost drowning. They can't get enough air in. So breath is powerful, I guess, is the bottom line.
Yeah, okay, well, wonderful.
There's an app if anyone wants a resource called Calm. And they have breathing exercises, meditation, sleep stories, all kinds of stuff that get you nice and calm.
That is a great resource. Maybe you can type that into the chat for everyone so that everybody can, for those people that may not have heard, type it in the chat for them. All right, so we're going to move on to what I think is another great strategy that I do. Is I typically will make a plan for the holidays, and you're probably going to ask me, what do I mean by that? So I've written it down, so I'm going to read them to you guys. During this time of the year, I'm going to be having more laser beam focus as to what I'm going to be eating. I'm going to be a lot stricter with myself, and I'm going to be much more careful. I'm going to keep the refrigerator stocked with healthy food options. I'm going to make sure that my essential oils are with me at all times. And I'm going to make sure that I know how to handle food bullies, because we all know that there's a lot of food bullies out there, and we have to practice what we're going to say to them so that if it happens to you, you know how to answer and you're not going to be shy about it. One of the food bullies that I know is typically during Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner is when they come up to you and said, but I made this especially for you. And they try to guilt you and rope you into eating something where they know you're not going to eat, but they're going to try to rope you into it anyway, or they're going to tell you other things. And you're going to need a strategy and a game plan as to what you're going to say to these people. So that's really important. You want to make sure that you pre-eat. There's going to be a lot of parties. You're going to be invited to places, and you want to make sure that you've pre-eaten before you go there in case there's nothing there. And typically what I always do is I will pre-eat, because I want to make sure that when I go somewhere, my tummy is full and I'm happy. But what I also do is I make sure to bring a dish, and I mean a big dish, of something that everybody can have, like a salad or vegetables or crudité or hummus or something. Because that way I know that, you know, the food is there should I need it, and others will be enjoying it, because I don't want to ever be, you know, hungry. And the most important thing that I do during this time of the year, I try to stay out of the stores as much as possible, because going into those stores is a huge food triggers. So those are some of the things that I do, JP. What are your thoughts?
Well, those are mine. You had to learn them somewhere, didn't you?
Well, I think I'm talking to the master of where I learned it, but you know, I need your input.
Those are, I'd say those are the main ones. That pre-eating is really important before you go to an event, to pre-eat. The other thing I would say is get your green powder. So as you know, I like the vitamin mineral green or the greener grasses by Health Force. And then I'm just putting that in my water and just sipping it throughout the day, which is nice because it alkalizes the palate. So you have less cravings. But if you feel like a binge is coming up and you can't stand it, drink an entire glass of the stuff. But some sort of green powder, if you want, you can use an essential oil. So you could take like a a peppermint, or it should be a pure peppermint or pure clove, and put 1 drop in about 1/4 of a glass of water, mix it up, put it in your mouth, swish for 45 seconds, then spit it out. And that pretty much, the clove will numb your tongue, so it's hard to eat. And the peppermint makes it just really minty and powerful. You just don't feel like putting food in. That's enough to add a distraction to help you get through a party. So you can keep those 2 things in mind. But I think everything else you're saying, I'd really like, especially with writing down those goals, which is important. And also having a buddy. So if you are going to a party or a family get together, hopefully there's somebody that's somewhat thinking like you, and can kind of support you. But remember, all of us generally go to holiday get-togethers to see our family and friends. I'd much rather spend quality time talking to people I don't get to see very often than worrying about, what's the latest new pumpkin pie flavor or something. It's the least thing I would be worrying about. I'd want to be spending time with people and connecting.
But that's you. But a lot of people go to these holiday events, and unfortunately, everything is geared towards the food. And they're going to be and some of those foods that they're making may have been one of your childhood favorite dishes. You go to grandma's house, and grandma's having Thanksgiving at her house, and she's going to make your favorite dish. So let's say we do go to grandma's house, and grandma, we can't say no to grandma, right? So how are we?
The thing is look at, you're setting yourself up for disaster. If I was to tell you what to do, none of you would like it. So it's hard for me to tell you. The thing here is that you have no business at those parties. So that's the truth. Are you going to do it? Heck no. 99.9% of you are going to go to a party. So you've already set yourself up for disaster. You've stacked the deck in the wrong way. So now the only thing I can say is, go there full, so you're less likely to overeat. Go there with a buddy, somebody that you can be with. Use your peppermint or your clove or an essential oil. Drink your green drinks. You're trying to stack the deck, but you've already set yourself up for disaster. It's like buying your husband or your wife cupcakes and keeping them in the refrigerator knowing you're not supposed to eat them. I mean, really? That's silly. I mean, who's not going to eat them? Yeah, so the truth is, it's like anything else, Shayda. None of this stuff is easy. None of it's easy.
Not at all.
It's not easy. And the truth is, and don't write me letters, you want to go off the program. You're looking for an excuse to eat these foods. So the holidays are the perfect time to do it, because you can feel like everyone's doing it. I guess I should do it too, right? I can let off some steam and eat now, and I'll start January 1st. I've heard these excuses for 37 years. But those people who do that, and I'm not making a judgment, but are just going to keep gaining weight. They're just going to keep getting heavier because they're just setting themselves up for disaster. And some people will say, well, though I'll lose it during January. Yeah, this is what you do, the roller coaster way. You gain the weight, you lose the weight. You gain the weight, you lose the weight. You're not slow and steady, which is the healthiest way to be. It's not healthy for your system to be gaining, losing, gaining, losing.
But I also think, I know, like me, and I'm just talking about myself, and I know a few others, but for me, if I do go and they do offer me something, I will come up with an excuse right away, because I have practiced this in my head as to what my response is going to be. And I always tell them, thank you so much, because I don't want to be disrespectful. And can you pack it for me? Can I take it? Right now, I'm really full. And then when I walk out, hopefully I'll put it in the trash. You know me, I had someone at my house that brought a vegan cake, and I ended up throwing it in the trash in front of her because she wouldn't take it back. And I did not want that in the house. So I think if you're strong enough and you can do that, and that's something to do. But I agree with you. People are not going to not go to grandma's house or to their family's house. They're not.
Right. I get it. And they should. I want people to, I think it's important to be connecting with other people, but I'm saying at least stack the deck in your favor and do all of these things that you can do to prevent yourself from caving in. It's going to be very difficult not to. And you have to admit, Shayda, you've been in training for 11 years. So yeah, it's like, I expect you to be a seasoned veteran, but most people are just starting their journey now. And they just think they're going to, white knuckle it and get through the holidays. And look I wish you could, but you're not a Navy SEAL. So it's unlikely you're going to do that. So you have to stack the deck in your favor and use some of these strategies. And everything you're saying, of course, is everything that I'm encouraging people to do.
I think something that you and I did at the very beginning when I started might be very helpful to someone. If they can get a buddy, if you remember when I went to San Francisco for a wedding, what did you do that entire weekend? You made me promise you that if I were going to put anything in my mouth, I had to take a picture of it and send it to you. And you would say yes or no. Do you remember that? Even if I was eating, you told me even if I was eating a carrot or an apple, you didn't care. Whatever was going into my mouth, I had to send you a picture of it to make myself accountable. And I did.
Yeah, of course.
And I think maybe for some people, you mentioned having a buddy system, that maybe something like that, like let's say it's me and Erin, and I'm at a party, and if I want to put, and I make a pact with Erin, and I make a promise to her that whatever I'm going to eat at this party, I'm going to send it to Erin, so that if there's something there, you know, if I send it to her, she can talk me off the ledge. And I think that might also be a good practice for someone who's just starting out.
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, that's, and no better time in your life than during the holiday season. You know,
Yeah.
again, if you can, when I have clients that start in October and they make it through October, they make it through November, they make it through December, and they go right into January powerful. Imagine how they feel mentally that everybody's just starting their New Year's resolutions and they're halfway done with their New Year's resolutions. So it's a very powerful feeling. It's something that's kind of like when we used to do fruit and vegetable day. It's something that you have under your belt. And once you've done it, it's just like jumping out of a plane with a parachute. You've done it once. It gives you a sense of confidence that there's lots of things you can do now. So you're less tempted and less likely to succumb to pressure.
I totally agree. And we are going to have a talk one of these days, you and me with our group, regarding a fruit and vegetable day. Okay, well, I think we delved into that one pretty good. I think the next one that we have to really deal with, and you touched on this a little bit, is really dealing with our emotions, because for some people, the holidays are a very lonely time. And a lot of people will use food to medicate, as you know, a lot of us have emotional attachments to food. So how do we deal with that? How do we get
Well, one, you have to decide if listening to the old Christmas songs from the past that you know are going to trigger you and set you off, if that's a good idea. If you know, seeing all the decorations in your house that you had when you were a kid, putting this up again, is that going to be just a constant trigger for you? Some people actually go away for the holidays and don't experience Christmas here or Hanukkah. They go out to Jamaica, right? And they get away from it. So you have to decide on what level the holidays induce trauma to you. That's something you kind of have to figure out. But I will say this, for a good majority of the clients that I have, especially not younger ones, but you know, clients in their 40s or 50s or older, the holidays are a very sad time. And often they want to eat, not only to medicate, but they want to eat that particular food that brings them back mentally to when they were a kid and they had pumpkin pie, or they had cranberry sauce, or whatever it is. And so they have to just be very conscientious of that, be honest and say, well, I know it's going to make me feel good to feel those memories again, but what are the consequences of that? Is there any way I could think of some other memories that bring me closer to my grandparents or my parents or my aunts and uncles or brothers and sisters or husband and wife, whoever it is? Is there anything else I can do to have a connection other than this holiday and then eating these foods?
I think something that really helps me when I first started during the holidays was keeping a food journal. Do you recommend with someone who's going through all these emotions to continue with their food journals?
Well, I always recommend the food journal. And the time I recommend it the most is when there's going to be crises coming up, parties and events, and of course the holidays. So one thing you might want to do is, get out your new journal. You don't have to buy anything special, just write on anything, but just, it helps you become hyper conscious of what you're putting in your mouth. And then if you could just write a little, like 1 to 10, what's my stress level? So you eat breakfast and then what's my stress level? It's a 5. Okay, great. I have lunch. Oh, stress level is an 8. Oh, it's a little higher. Let me look at my food journal. Did I overeat on something here? So yeah, a food journal is always good. It just makes you hyper conscious and it makes you accountable. Now, people who send me their food journal, that even better, because then they know that I'm going to be reading it, just like you. You knew I was going to be reading it, so then you're a little bit more cautious. I've had a lot of clients say to me in the past, well, I was going to eat these particular candies, but I knew I'd have to write them down, and I just didn't want JP to see it. So there, they gave them the edge and helped them going in a downward spiral.
Very good. Okay, so we're getting close. So my next strategy for getting through the holidays is creating new holiday traditions with the family that doesn't involve food. So here are some of the things that I do that has helped me to get through the holiday season. I know my mom and I will always go to the movies during the holidays. And when we do go to the movies, we're always taking, we've pre-eaten and we are always taking our essential oils. We do vision boards. We go hiking, playing cards, games, have everybody over, going bike riding, playing in the snow. Find things that you can do with your family that does not evolve around food, and it gets you out of the house. One of the things I love doing is boxing. And that for me is one of my favorite things, and JP knows this. I will go to the boxing gym more during the holidays than any time of the year. So you have to find things that you can sit with your family and say, okay, guys, do we want to play Monopoly tonight? Do we want to do this? Start creating new habits and new traditions during the holidays that are going to be healthy for you, and just try to keep the food out of it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think, spending some time at a food pantry is really nice too, always during the holidays, volunteering your time there. And it's especially inspiring when you get to see and talk to the community that comes in, and help feed them and talk to them and cheer them up, because, these are people that have really tough times living, and they don't have many people to talk to. Also, one of the things you can do is volunteer at an animal shelter, because a lot of times these animal shelters have reduced hours during the holidays. And it's nice if you can get in there when they are open and offer to walk the dogs and spend some time cuddling with them and playing with them. And hopefully that would inspire you maybe to take one of those animals home too and rescue them. So things like that are important. I think just anything that you can do that just gets you, engaged with people. I think it's really important to be engaged with people, especially during the holidays, especially people who are alone. I think that's really important. I had signed up for, when I was a kid, a program that you go into seniors' homes and you act as companions for them. I think that's something that, there's a lot of seniors that are alone at their home, and they don't have people coming by to bring them some food, or they don't have somebody to talk with them. And I think that's really something that's very important to do too. And the other thing that I used to do was I really enjoyed shoveling people's walks, their walkway in wintertime, and just volunteering to do that for free, especially the elderly people who I knew where they lived in the community. I'd always see them out trying to shovel themselves, and I kept note of it so I could be of assistance, and you just go and get a shovel and just do it.
That's really nice. Erin, do we have any questions?
No, just a lot of chat.
It's a lot of chat. Okay, I just don't want to.
I want to give you guys the one big secret though before we go.
Okay, well, we have one more strategy that I think every single person needs to learn how to do, especially if you're a people pleaser. And I know I used to be a people pleaser, but after working with JP and AJ, that is no longer the case. And that's learning how to say no to people. You have to learn how to say no, because there's going to be a lot of food bullies out there this year. And the sooner you learn how to say no to people, the easier your life will be. What do you think, JP?
Absolutely. And remember, every time you're saying no, you're also saying yes. Because when you say
Correct.
no to them, you're saying yes to yourself of something that you really want to do or should be doing. So, you have to realize that some people don't mean to sabotage you, but they want to have a good time, and they don't want to have a good time alone. So they want you to enjoy in on the festival. So they have a drinking buddy, they have a fudge buddy, a pumpkin pie buddy. They have somebody to eat extra stuffing with. They don't want to do it alone. Well, nothing against those folks, but you can't allow their misery to become your misery. That's just where they are in their life. We don't make a judgment. It's just like if they want to go out for beers and you're recovering from, drinking disorder, it's not in your best interest to do that. And most everybody's a food addict, whether you want to believe it or not. Most everybody is. And so you're just going to fall victim to being a food addiction again.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And one of the best exercises that I used to do is look in the mirror and just practice saying no. It's not easy. Listen, guys, being a people pleaser, it really is not easy to say no to people. But the first time you do it, it's going to be hard. And you're going to feel guilty actually for saying no. But I promise you, if you keep doing it and be kind about the way you're saying no. I'm not saying to say no and be mean and obnoxious about it. But there's nice ways of saying no, thank you, no thanks. Just be cordial about it. But the more you do it, the more you practice saying no, that muscle is going to get stronger. And before you know it, you're going to be somewhere. Somebody's going to offer you something. You're going to say no thanks, and you're going to be like, wow, I just did that. That felt really good. Because you've got to take care of yourself. No one else is going to take care of you but you. So you've got to learn to say no.
Yeah, that you hit it on the head. And the thing is, people sometimes don't really know the damage they're causing. They think they're doing you a favor by giving you an extra helping of this, and hey, let's have this, let's have cheers together. They're just not conscientious of that. So they're not necessarily bad people, but they're not people that are in your best interest if you want to be successful on this path of less food addiction and less weight gain and things like that.
Well, let me see if there's any final questions, because we've pretty much gotten through everything. Is there anything?
No, but can I add something?
Yes, of course you can add something.
So when I first went plant-based, what I did is I went, because I'm from Seattle.
She's from Seattle, and I wish you would get in front of the camera, but she's camera shy.
So the first year I went plant-based, I went home because I always go home to see my parents for Thanksgiving. And we redid all of our family traditional recipes. So we made everything. We made quinoa, stuffing, mashed potatoes, and the mushroom gravy. And it was all whole food, plant-based, oil-free, salt-free.
So hold on. Does that mean you're going to come here and do a whole Thanksgiving dinner for us?
And we had Brussels sprouts and salad. And it was so delicious. And my entire family loved it. Like, I made everything and said, this is what we're eating this year. And now it's our new tradition. So when I go home, that's what we eat every year now. So I think that you can get rid of those old recipes and find new ones that you love just as much. Because really it is about eating the dinner and having, a fun time with your family.
So you created a whole new tradition at your house, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, and now we look forward to Thanksgiving. Even my mom's plant-based, and my dad's not, but he looks forward to it.
So there you go, guys. It can be done. Any final thoughts, John Pierre?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the final secret, the big secret. So
we're holding on.
We're ready.
We're ready. Go ahead.
One thing I would say. The most important thing I would say is to actually, starting now, normally I'll do it October 1st, but start a new program. In other words, get a new book, get a new audio, get a new health program that you start listening to now, because then it's going to be your buddy. So I have my Zoom series, which is 17 hours long. It's available at johnpierre.com, which is the Pillars of Health. Shayda, you were part of that. And I know that you said it was so motivating for you, and you've been doing this 11 years.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So so for someone like you, a seasoned veteran, it's going to definitely motivate a newbie. So it can be any program you like. It doesn't have to be mine. It could be a new book that you want to start, but something that's kind of in the plant-based world, a new audio program. And then the other thing is, don't be afraid to go to any 12-step meetings. These 12-step programs are great. It doesn't matter what it is. A lot of people go to OA, Overeaters Anonymous or AA or any of the programs out there, but they're good support for you. And it's just an extra edge that you're going to have. But the main thing you need is support, and you need to be starting a new program, because by starting a new program, it's helping to counter the program that's the society or the food industry is trying to get you to do, which is spend more money and eat more crap. So you're trying to do something to counter it. And then, of course, the most important thing that trumps every single thing that's going to be better than anything that you could do is just always act out of kindness and love. Be kind and compassionate, not only to others, but most of all, start doing that kindness to yourself. And then you'll even be better at doing it with others, but start with yourself at least. And it can be small little ways, but one of the best ways you already said, Shayda, is by starting to say no.
Yeah, I think that's saying no really is a huge, huge thing, because the more you say no, the more you're saying yes to yourself and you're taking care of yourself. I totally agree with everything you just said, completely. Well, this has been tremendously wonderful. Thank you so much, JP, for always your wonderful, wonderful advice. And I'm hoping that our audience has gained something from today's talk. So I want to thank you for joining us this evening.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I want to thank our audience for watching another episode of Healthy Cooking with Shayda. Remember, guys, it's one bite at a time, one meal at a time. Until next time, we'll see you soon.